Thank you for joining us today. My name is Kevin Kirkpatrick, and I'm the Director of Customer Success at SolarWinds MSP. Today we're going to be discussing a topic that's near and dear to my heart: customer retention. Any subscription business can be broken out into three clear categories: land, adding net new customers to your book of business; expand, growing the monthly spend of an existing customer; and retain, protecting every monthly recurring dollar. This is true in our business, delivering subscription software, and it's also true for the managed services marketplace. The SolarWinds MSP Customer Success Department is focused on all things retain, helping our customers achieve value, resolving issues as they arise, and ensuring our customers have the right products to solve their business problems. My goal for this presentation is to share some of the concepts we apply in customer success, in the hope that it will help inform your customer retention strategy. Losing a customer is painful. You invest time, energy, and money acquiring them. You develop relationships, become emotionally invested, and when a customer opts to leave, it can be a painful process that we just want to forget about and move on. However, I believe it's important to look at churn and retention critically. Focus on data and what we can learn from each situation to prevent and manage churn in the future. The first step is a simple one. Make sure everyone is clear on how you're defining churn. As stated on the slide, churn is defined as the reduction in revenue received from a customer. This could be a customer downsizing, reducing the number of users supported by your fully managed program. It could be an account opting to cancel one of their services, say managed antivirus, but continuing other managed services with you. Or, the worst case, a customer deciding to cancel services outright and move to a competitor. Once we're clear on what churn is, we start thinking about how it's measured. Many areas of your business are easy to measure. How many new clients we've added, how many tickets we've received, etc., etc. However, if any of you have spent much time researching this topic, you'll know that there are countless different ways to measure customer retention and churn. There's logo retention, gross billings retention, annual renewal rates, all calculated differently and looking at churn through a slightly different lens. Selecting a consistent measure is important, as it allows you to track progress over time and evaluate the effectiveness of your programs. For our purposes, we found that one of the cleanest and simplest ways to evaluate churn is something called the quick ratio. The quick ratio is a simple calculation and measure used to evaluate businesses based on monthly recurring revenue. We first measure and categorize the changes in recurring revenue from one month to the next. Growth, defined as the monthly value of new or expanded services from an existing customer, plus the monthly value of all new customers signed on. And then churn, defined as the monthly value of any reduction in services from existing customers, plus the monthly value of any lost customers. We divide growth by churn and get our quick ratio. Let's walk through a simple example. A business starts the month with $225,000 in monthly recurring revenue. Over the course of the month, 2 large customers cancel for $45,000 in losses. And 3 customers reduce their services, totaling $20,000 a month in losses. Additionally, a few accounts add new services, totaling $15,000 in new monthly recurring revenue, and 1 new account is added for $21,000 a month. We sum the growth and then the churn, then divide total growth by total churn to get, in this case, a quick ratio of 0.55. What's interesting is that if this business maintained a quick ratio of 0.55 month over month, they would quickly shrink and lose all of their monthly recurring revenue. If they had a quick ratio of exactly 1, their recurring revenue would stay static. And if they had a quick ratio above 1, say 2 or higher, then they would be growing at a very healthy rate. I like this method because of its simplicity. It cleanly captures both sales and churn performance and can be used to set monthly goals and targets. It's also a metric that can be shared with the rest of the organization without getting into too much detail about monthly revenue. Now that we have a measure in place, we need to look at how we're analyzing our losses. Understanding why we lose customers is critical to managing churn and improving customer retention. Without knowing the why, we can't take action to resolve issues in our service delivery, customer engagement model, or other areas where we aren't meeting customer needs. Ideally, this information is captured right away and recorded systematically. This helps us move away from anecdotal evidence and allows us to make data-based decisions. Categorizing churn events based on common primary and secondary reasons, recording the competitor if there was one at play, applicable services, and lost revenue will give you the tools needed to identify what was outside of your control versus a problem that you can prevent from occurring in the future. Key questions to ask include, what was the primary reason the customer left? Were they motivated by price? Did we fail to deliver the services that the customer expected? Did the customer needs change? Questions like these should inform your categories as you track your losses. It's also worth noting that not all customers are equal. Segmenting your customers based on vertical, geography, services consumed will help further identify customer trends. Are your legal customers stickier and more likely to be retained than your real estate customers? Are your fully managed customers less likely to churn than your proactive accounts? Combining customer segmentation with loss reporting can provide powerful insights that could change the way you approach new client acquisition. It's also worth noting that not all churn is bad. You may identify customer segments that are less profitable or don't align with your strategic objectives. A classic example is an MSP who's converted the majority of their customers to a fully managed program. They may be happy to churn the remaining time and material customers that they have in their book of business. So far, we've established a definition and measure of churn. We've talked about gathering and segmenting loss data. Next, I'd like to look at how we get ahead of potential churn by measuring the health of our customer base. As a managed service provider, there's often a constant stream of communication between you and your customers. Between day-to-day issue resolution, help desk calls, sales calls, there's a lot of noise, and it can be challenging to understand an account's overall satisfaction with your services as an MSP. Additionally, we tend to fall back on anecdotal information and feedback from our best customers, instead of having a holistic and data-based view on our customer experience. A formal voice of the customer program helps address this through a standard measurement applied to all customers that include a feedback loop. This allows you to gauge how the company is doing, gain insights on how to improve the customer experience, and subsequently increase retention rates. By implementing a voice of the customer program, we'll better understand where we should focus our energy while monitoring customer reaction to any changes we make. A common method used for a voice of the customer program is something called Net Promoter Score, or NPS. Introduced in 2003 by Fred Reichheld in the Harvard Business Review article, Net Promoter Score is a mechanism used to gauge satisfaction and loyalty by asking a customer's willingness to recommend our company to a friend or colleague. The recipient is asked to rate their likelihood on an 11-point scale of 0 to 10 and are given a section to provide feedback. Being a simple, single question, it does not require much time or effort from the customer. Additionally, the nature of the question captures their perception of your business as a whole, instead of a point-of-time event like a case survey. NPS results are categorized into 3 groups. Detractors, anyone scoring 0 to 6, are customers who have a generally negative perception. Passives, customers rating you as 7 to 8, are treated as neutral. And promoters, 9s and 10s, who represent your strongest customer relationships. Results from the survey question are used to calculate a Net Promoter Score. This is done by subtracting the total percentage of detractors from the total percentage of promoters. Similar to the quick ratio, your NPS score can be measured on a regular basis and used to set goals for programs designed to improve your customer experience. Additionally, we get actionable feedback that you can use to identify churn risks and drive new sales. A key component of an NPS program is the close the loop process. This is targeted at any account that is categorized as a detractor. Once the negative score and feedback is received, that customer should be contacted by an account manager, customer success rep, manager, or similar role within your organization. The objective is to identify the underlying reason that you were rated poorly and work with the customer on resolving any issues uncovered. Once complete, the account should be resurveyed and hopefully return to a more positive result. Having a strong close-the-loop process that addresses negative scores quickly demonstrates to your customers that feedback is taken seriously and actioned quickly. Conversely, promoters, accounts scoring 9 or 10, are your best advocates out in the marketplace. And we have the opportunity to leverage their positive relationship for new business opportunities. One option is to put in place a formal referral program, prompting your best customers to identify new sales opportunities for you. This can be as simple as directly asking your best customers for referrals on a regular basis, or even better, creating meaningful incentives that reward them for uncovering opportunities. Referral business usually closes faster and is higher value than other new client acquisition strategies. Since introduced in 2003, NPS has been adopted by customer-focused businesses in virtually every industry. In a customer gauge study interviewing 604 business leaders across multiple industries, they consistently found that implementing a Voice of the Customer program using NPS resulted in a meaningful improvement in customer retention. So now that we have all this data, what do we do with it? This is a quote from one of my favorite bloggers and authors, Lincoln Murphy, from 16 Ventures. And it speaks to the need to thoroughly evaluate and measure your customer journey, from initial contact, proposal, deployment, through to ongoing service delivery. Clearly mapping each step that your customers take as they engage you for services and work with you over the long term will help you utilize the loss reporting and NPS data to make organizational improvements. We can start to tie customer feedback to specific stages. For example, if our loss data tells us that customers are leaving because they expected to receive services that weren't included in the initial contract, we can look at our initial needs analysis step. Are we asking the right questions early in the sales process? Did we clearly understand the problem the customer was trying to solve? Or we may find that new customers are typically rating us lower than average shortly after initiating services. We can then look at our deployment stage. Do we have the right checks and balances in place to ensure that our services are configured properly? Are we providing enough feedback to the customer during installation and setting the right expectations? Our loss and NPS feedback gives us a strong database approach to identifying areas for improvement in our customer journey. Even if churn is not a problem for your business today, having a strategy for customer retention by clearly defining and measuring churn, tracking and categorizing losses, implementing a consistent measure for customer engagement, and leveraging data to improve your customer journey will deliver a better customer experience and ensure that you are protecting your revenue. Thank you.